Hi, welcome to another session of iCoachNow. This is John, and today's topic is specifically oriented towards the youth league coordinators. And I was just talking to an acquaintance of mine who is a league coordinator, and he focuses primarily on 1st through 5th grade. And he saw me wearing my T-shirt. It's just like, John, what's this iCoachNow thing? You know, I've seen it on your Facebook. I've seen it in different areas. And I explained to him what we do is we target first-time coaches and experienced coaches, but primarily first-time coaches. And what we do is we create practice plans for them. As a youth coordinator, your life is busy, right? You've got a lot going on. Not only that, but you also got to help out the 5, 10, maybe even 20 youth coaches that are in your league, maybe even up to 40 or 50. And how many of those are first-time coaches that have never coached before? Some of them may not have even played high school basketball, and so they're completely starting from scratch. And they come to you and say, hey, coordinator, how do I do this thing, right? And you're like, well, you know what? Go search on the internet. There's lots of stuff out there. And there is so much stuff out there that they go out there and they feel completely overwhelmed. And this happens a lot. And this particular acquaintance of mine said that this last week he spent a ton of time in practices just teaching these first-time coaches how to run a basic practice. And as I described what iCoachNow does, he's just like, man, we've got to get this because it helps him fulfill his responsibility as a coordinator. It helps their youth coaches do what they're supposed to do, is actually develop players, right, in a very fun, supportive way that develops their individual skills, but also introduces them to team basketball. And I shared with him a little bit about how iCoach does that. Now, on an individual practice basis, we have a formula that we follow, all right? It's called fun, effective, and efficient. Fun is that, you know what, let's have some fun games. And it's just not scrimmage, but it's fun games that develop their skills, okay? And so we have 3 fun games throughout the practice, at the beginning, in the middle, at the end. I want to make sure that the kids have fun, all right? That's why they're there. But as an adult and a coach, I want to work on their fundamentals. And effective means is that we're teaching them the proper fundamentals. And so the first, part or third of the practice is working on individual fundamentals. Ball handling, dribbling, passing, and shooting, right? If your players can't chin the ball, right? If they can't dribble the ball, if they can't pass the ball, if they can't shoot the ball, it's hard to have any kind of success. Then what we also work on is team offensive concepts. Primarily, we just focus on passing and cutting and spacing. Spacing is, putting the players in the right spots. And I don't want to say that we use, specific team offense rotation, for example, a Duke offense or a Kansas or all these different kinds of offenses. We're more about spacing and then teaching the cutting and screening, which helps develop their individual skills, but also, in the heat of the game, at least they'll know what to do rather than try to get it to a spot. And then finally, we focus on man-to-man defense and teaching those progressions. And so we hit those items every single practice. In addition to that, we also teach them the rules of the game. Something that just cracks me up, all right? I watch probably 5 to 6 basketball games at least per week on TV, right? I'm a sports nut. I watch it all the time. I absolutely love it. My son, who turns 10 in January, is constantly asking me questions. I'm just like, how does he not know this, right? Dad, when do you take the ball out of bounds? I mean, this kid's watched more basketball than 99% of the world out there, but it still does not really understand the rules of the game. So don't assume that your players know everything. Anyways, getting back, you need to be talking about the rules in your practice so that the kids really develop. All right. He even went through I coached him last year as well, so he should know these things. But it reiterates to me is that even though you teach these things once, kids don't always get it. All right. And then the other thing that we do is not only do we cover these things in just the one practice, but we also plan it out throughout the season so that the drills get a little bit more complex as the season goes on. and it keeps the kids engaged. So it's not the exact same thing each practice, but it's a progressive practice that by the end of the season, we're working on more complex basketball concepts rather than the basic ones that we started at the beginning of the season. And it's just really hard to do as a first-time coach, to be able to not just practice or develop the one first practice, but to develop that so that it gets progressively challenging and more complex throughout the season. It's hard for a high school coach to do that. All right? Let us help you out. Let us give those first-time coaches the experience that they need and the tools that they need to be successful. And really what it's going to do is the kids are going to have a much better time. They're going to be much better basketball players because we're covering all the spectrums of the game of basketball. Hey, thanks for listening. You can reach us at iCoachNow.com, or you can reach me at jon@iCoachNow.com as well if you have any additional questions.